Hey everybody, today I'm going to be reviewing Easy Rider, and my name is Ubercoo. Now, to begin, I want to say that it's about these two guys going on a road trip. They are on they've made their big score, and they are looking just to get away at this point. They are riding off into the sunset. It is, I think it's a good film. It is something that I think people should watch, even if you hate it. Uh, to begin, it is they start off these two guys. They are drug dealers. Essentially, I think from what I've seen on the behind the scenes, a lot of the stuff that I'm getting is a lot from the behind the scenes and just Wikipedia and just basic look up that anybody could do. Um, from what I heard, yeah. So as Dennis Hopper, the director and star, uh, also written by Peter Fonda. I should talk about that. And also starring Jack Nicholson, Toni Basil, and Karen Black. Jack Nicholson, who knew, right? I mean, come on. Jack Nicholson, Toni Basil, Mickey. Let's be real. That's really she's known for. She's actually had a couple movies back in the day. Honestly I can't remember a lot, but she had. But of course, everyone knows her from the '80s and Mickey. Hey Mickey, you're so fine. That Toni Basil. Karen Black, I believe, is the mom in the Rob Zombie series of was it House of a Thousand Corpses? I think she was the mom in that. Um, I don't know much. I have to look into it, but I don't remember a lot of standouts. Um, but yeah, it starts. Dennis Hopper saying that these two guys, they're drug dealers, and they're going down to Mexico for the big score. They had to buy a bunch of cocaine, and back in the day when cocaine was a less common drug. It was a it was a luxury drug, as they said back in the day. Um, the they go on that, and once they buy it, they go to the Connection, which is the actual name in the credits. Connection, and Bodyguard, cleverly. They meet in an airport where you can't hear any real dialogue. You hear a lot of the airplanes and things like that. Uh, you get to see what it looks like. It's a great visual. Um, they make a lot of money off the deal, and they get their bikes. Now the bikes are on the back of a pickup truck. They actually get to drive the pickup truck down to a remote location. They don't actually specify, and it's like in the middle of a desert, like an old settlement, I think, or like a rundown area. You never see the truck again, but you do see them take off with the bikes. Now, before I continue with that and the rest of the story, I want to talk about how the cinematics and the artistry involved with the film. The the way it's set up is it visually it's amazing. Um, a lot of wide open shots, which plays into the theme of freedom and openness and expression. It's just this whole, it's got all those feels, right? It's the you go through and there's just so many scenes in the movie where it it, it almost and it's natural scenes too. Like there's this one scene later in the film where they're looking out in the desert and it's just all purple and then in the sky and then the ground is black, from the shade. Um, it's visually stunning in that aspect. If I had 4K on it, I could only imagine that would look amazing. But I don't know if it would because it's such an old movie. This is the 30th anniversary edition that I got, and it I got in my TV. It's a 1080, it's 60 frames. It's not the latest, but it's not bad. Um, but yeah, it's from here. Then what I want to talk about is the cutting of the movie. There's a lot of experimentation with the way it's set up. Like there's a lot of cuts. Like for example, one of the cuts in the movie, or a couple times in the movie, is where it'll go from scene A and then cuts to scene B and then back to scene A, scene B, scene A, scene B, and then continues on with scene B. So like it's this weird transition of back and forth. Um, there is like still shot frames where it's just zoomed in on like a book or like like a tumbleweed or something, right? Or just out in the distance. It's just and they keep the camera so still it just looks like a snapshot or a painting. Uh, which is I thought that was amazing visuals throughout the film the way they do that. There's experimentation with like first person view later in the film with Peter Fonda where he's looking around like a commune. He's just looking around, but it's like from the first person view. It's really cool. Um, there's just a lot of experimentation. I mean, the whole movie is from the counter. Like it, a lot of people say it's a like the counterculture movie. I don't think it is. I think it's a pillar of that time. I don't think it's like the movie. Um, if anything, I'd probably give that to like Apocalypse Now or something like that. Yeah, Apocalypse Now would probably be high up in there. Um, Starting off, they one of the visuals of the movie is they do that. They starting off where they get the actual bikes right, and they're ready to take off. There's a scene where Peter Fonda he grabs his watch off his wrist, and he's got a decent size. He's got a decent watch. Um, Takes it off. He looks at it, stares at it for a second, and then just throws it on the ground. Like I don't need this anymore. This isn't my life. I'm done. This is my new journey. I'm on my new quest. This is the next chapter. You know, and just not looking back. It's and not only that, it can also symbolize more than that. It's just about again, it goes back to the freedom of you're no longer restricted by society's time. You know, you're not part of that group anymore. You're on your own. You're a rogue. It's it is a I think there's definitely pride in that. There's a sense of there is a sense of freedom. It's just a sense of self responsibility and um, just something of not having to be under a parent figure. You know, I think a lot of people have forgotten that. I think a lot of people have forgotten that today. Um, and that, and I'll talk about that later. Actually, I was going to mention that is there's a lot of parallels. Um, and why I wanted to watch this lately is because there's a lot of parallels of that time compared to today that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily think about. I don't think or have thought about. Um, in the movie, I just love that scene. I just love that scene. I think it's that scene where with the watches, I think will go down in history as one of the best pieces in film cinema. Like I don't think it's not like top, but it'll be up there, right? I'd say top 200 somewhere, because it's the symbolism of that letting go of that of everything. You know, it's just you don't need it anymore. If that could be updated today, I would love it to be someone doing something similar to that, but like a cell phone, and just fuck this thing and just done with it, right? And you're just doing your own thing from here. I would love that to be a scene today. I don't think it would ever happen. Um, from there, they take off. They have some great shots of scenery again, and this is throughout the film. Um, just driving around. I shouldn't say drive, ride around. They're riding the motorcycles. They go to a local motel, like a little tiny, like you pay one night and you'd hate to stay there type motel. And they say no vacancy because of the way they look. There's a lot of prejudice of the counterculture hippie, long hair, riding a motorcycle. Again, it goes back to the outlaw of the day. They just, it's what they knew of that time. Um, then, from because they can't stay anywhere, essentially, they're out living in the middle of the wood. Not even the woods. It's just out in the desert. Um, they have some great little dialogue. This is the really point. The only real point of the movie already is where they start giving real dialogue because up until now it's very event based. The whole scene where they actually buy the drugs and sell the drugs and get the bikes and take off. There's not a lot of dialogue. Um, there's like some basic exchange when he buys the drugs about like I don't remember exactly what it was, but like there's just no real dialogue. It's just a lot of facial expressions, like to try to test the drugs. Um, he just gives a basic expression. He's like, just no thanks. But he didn't actually say no thanks. He's just like that. There's a lot of that. It's unspoken language, which I think is great. The So there's a great dialogue at the that first night, and he's talking about they're gonna go to Mardi Gras. This is where you first start getting the story. They're gonna head to Mardi Gras, and the idea is past Mardi Gras, they're going to Florida, where they might be going down to the Keys and just kind of disappearing from there. That's their goal. They made their score, and this is their sunset. The They get some great sleep. They wake up, and that's when it starts cutting to another great experimental shot of just holding still on various parts of the area that they're staying at. It's like an old rundown house that it's just gone. Um, just like old books that are just worn and just it looks like it burned down. Honestly, it looks like it's just an old building that burned down. From there, they take off, and some more great scenery. They meet this hippie dude. Unfortunately, his name escapes me at the moment. Um, he again, no real dialogue when even meeting him, because it's just a mutual understanding. They see, okay, we're of the same kin, and yeah, hop on, and maybe they can help us. Maybe you can help me out along the way. I think that's great, man. I wish there was more people like that today. I really do. I wish there was more trust. Um, they take the hippie to a commune actually, but on the way, stop to get some gas. The hippie he tries to help out Dennis Hopper's and fill his motorcycle up with gas. But what they did was early in the film when they got the money from the drug exchange, they just took the money, rolled it up real nice and tight, and then socked it down into a like a plastic tube, and then took the plastic tube, corked it off, put it down into the gas tank, sealed it shut. When the hippie was going to put gas into Dennis Hopper's motorcycle, then he was like, "No, no, man, I'm good, I got it." And so then he helps out Peter Fonda. Now Peter Fonda, his character is he's really relaxed in the film. He's just playing it cool, He's a good-looking dude in his 20s, I think, at the time, 20s, early 30s, and he's just playing Mr. Cool, I can fit in everywhere, and I'm just gonna be dealing, man. And he's like, "Don't worry." So he calls him. So Dennis Hopper calls him over. He's like, "Hey, man, hey, what are you doing?" He's gonna look down. All he's gotta do is look down inside, man, to just see, what have we been getting at. And he's like, "Hey, Billy." Um, yeah. So Dennis Hopper's character is named Billy, and Peter Fonda's name is Wyatt. He's like, Billy. Hey, man, hey, relax. It's okay. You know, he's just being cool. You know, and that's pretty much how that went. And it's really cool because then um, when he goes to pay, then the hippie's like, "No, man, it's already taken care of," and that's mutual respect. You know, you can't do that with anybody my age today. Can do that, not at all. Um, I just think that's cool, man. I think that's just mutual respect. Mutual respect. Um, so from there, they take the motorcycles to the local commune, and from what I seen on the making of video on the same copy here, they it was based on a real commune. I guess like New Buffalo was called or something, and it was a bunch of early 20s, just what you would expect. It's, you know, of the 60s era, early 20s, a lot of just young kids and trying to start over with a new sense of society. I have my own opinions. I think that it's just the way they went about it was wrong. It just became personal because then you got like a bunch of friends who are just like, yeah, man, let's just chill out in the woods and fuck each other and oh shit, I fell in love. Oh no, and shit just got bad. So like, oh no, we got all these kids running around. Like it's just there's got. I'm not saying it can't work. I'm not saying it can't work, and they still work. There's a lot of communes out there. I'm not saying it can't. I'm saying in the film. I'm saying this is what's in the film. Uh, the and I totally support that. I think it's great. I think if we could honestly, if we lived off of like natural resources and just figure out just a way to be mutually respectful of each other, I think things would work out. But so they go to the commune and it's very open. They're kind, a lot of flirtation, a lot of back and forth. Um, not a real mixed bag of the day. I mean, it's a common trope of the day. You know, the standard hippie was upper middle class and just trying to get away from their parents and all that. Um, not everybody, obviously, but that was the trope. That was the cliche. Um, that's a little bit reflected here. There's not a lot of diversity. I gotta be honest. It's they've got a theater troupe within the commune that they're doing, and so they that's kind of interesting. Um, some of the girls at the commune they actually want to get a ride out from the commune and just kind of get out for a while. So Wyatt is totally cool about it. He's like, yeah, yeah, no problem, no problem. And then Billy's like, hey man, hey, wait a minute, we're not just some traveling service, bro. And Wyatt's like, hey man, hey, we're eating their food, okay? This is their food. And then, again, it goes back to respect. It's a mutual respect. I think it's lost. Um, there's a fun scene with these two girls. I don't know if they really became famous or, um, but yeah, it's a really great. There's a great scene with them, and they're in a water pond, but maybe like a water reservoir or something. I don't know what it would be called, but they're just swimming around nude and everything. You can't really see anything. They're all underwater. It's tasteful. You get to see the outline of like their naked bodies and stuff like that underneath the water, but it's not like anything like protruding. Um, they From there in the story, then they let the girls go. They go to a well, hold on. Let me just back up here a couple of things. Um, that's when let's see from here to take a step. Yeah. Oh yeah. I want to. That's right. I want to talk about the scene where at the commune there's a great visual of they all sit in a circle, and then in the circle the camera pans all the way across, real slow. As they do that, no one's looking directly at the camera, so it's like this Renaissance painting, and it's really interesting. And the parallels to that is really interesting. They've got this young dude who's like in his mid 20s. He's a white dude. He's got like a beard and long hair, trying to be some symbolism for Jesus and shit. Um, I don't think it really works that well. Um, but I get it. I get what they're trying to go for at the moment, and I get what they're going. But yeah, they take off from the commune, and they're off on their way. They go to that's when they actually come across a small town that has a marching band. In the marching band, they they get caught by the cops for marching without a permit. That is where they meet the great Jack Nicholson, and he plays a lawyer for the ACLU, uh, which I think the way they set it up is that he kind of got the job from his dad, and so like he was actually staying in the jail because he's got an alcohol problem. And he's in the drunk tank. Um, but they let him out, and he's able to get our guys out. From there, he asks him. They tell him that they're going to Mardi Gras. And he wants to go, and he's like, "Hey man," he's like, Peter Fonda's like, "You got a helmet?" And he's like, Jake Nicholson's like, "Oh, I got a helmet. Oh boy, do I got a helmet." And then it cuts to him in like this old gold football helmet, and then like he's doing this weird arm waving thing in the air, riding the back of the motorcycle, and it's got this crazy funny tune that goes with the song, goes with the scene. He Jack Nicholson is great in this movie. He's not in it for a long time, but he definitely made his mark in it. Obviously he's Jack Nicholson, so he doesn't need to, but you get what I'm saying. Uh, they take off, and they have to go to a what was it? They go to a oh yeah, that's when they start camping out for the first time. Uh, they camp out all together, and then this is where Jack Nicholson gets high on the in the scene. Now, mind you, during the whole movie, they're all getting high, and every scene with their smoking is most likely smoking weed. The only drugs they didn't do in the movie was the actual cocaine, because Peter Fonda was saying sugar hurts when you snort it. I actually remember doing that when I was a kid, and it does hurt. I wouldn't recommend it. A great funny thing about another thing about Jack Nicholson, he's got this quirk when he drinks, when he grabs a swig of Jam Beam, and he's like, and he does this weird thing with his arm. I'm not doing it justice, but it's funny. Um, they're at night, and at the fire, and Peter Fonda offers Jack Nicholson's character a joint. Essentially, he's like, "Here, man, try this," and he's like, "Well, what if I get addicted?" He's like, "No, man, no, it ain't work, it ain't like that." Well, what if it leads to other drugs? And he's like, and Peter Fonda just gives him this look, like it just destroys that entire argument altogether. Just that look alone. He's like just straight face, like, really, you really want to go there? And then so he's like, all right, and he lights it up, and it's great. That's like a whole great scene. The next day they take off, and there's a great montage of them just driving through the South of the '60s, just these rural areas that are just really poor. It's an interesting perspective of the time frame, and it may even still be like that in some areas still today. It's just, yeah, you get to see all these, like, it's just a timepiece. It really is. It's a time capsule of that era. More than anything, I think that's it. You could watch this movie just as a sheer timepiece and just say, I remember that. I remember this. Um, and yeah, it's just amazing in that aspect. Um, from there, they actually, I don't want to give a lot away because that's when it starts getting really interesting in the film. I do want to mention there's a great scene a little bit after that where uh, it's the next night, and Jack Nicholson has a great conversation about and a great speech about freedom and like they're when they look at you, they don't see you as I'm saying. They see you as something else. They're your is what you represent to them. You know what I'm saying? They're your you represent someone who is going beyond what what they can't. They are and they're afraid, and so they fear what they are afraid of. That's essentially what the idea is. What he's getting across is and then Dennis Hopper is like, well, hey man, all we represent to them, man, is just another haircut. And he's like, and then Jackie was like, what you represent to them is freedom. He's like, that's what it's all about, man, freedom, yeah, that's what it's all about. But being it and saying it are two different things, and it's easy to say, to see a free individual, but if you actually see one, then it's something else and completely entirely. So you can see where he's coming from, and I think it really works. It's really interesting. I think there's a lot of parallels, and that's what I was going to bring back about parallels. Is it's the dynamic of the authority, whomever that might be, which is generally the mass population of agreement. What it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It's just the mass agreement. When that conflicts with the minor agreement, it's just it's goes back to just authority and dominance and um, more than that it goes to that more than the actual argument itself. It's really about the actual argument itself. It's more just about how can I win, how can I beat you, how can I do just overtop you, and I think I'm right, I think you're wrong, and I'm going to make you see my way. um you are not part of my club. uh and on and on and on and on and on. It's just that same ideal of what we have established here and you are not agreeing to those terms. You are not part of the TOS, and so you are on the outside. You are beyond this line. You are on the outside. You're a rebel. You're whatever you want to label that as. Um, Now, I think at the time, or starting at then, that mentality was going against the establishment of the day, which was very conservative, very religious, very uptight. But now, I think in modern day, it is similar in uptightness. I think there's a lot of people who are uptight and very moralistic. I think the lines are very distinctly drawn nowadays as they were of the day, more than they were. I think, honestly, I would say the best time we ever had a blending of ideals was probably in the early mid 90s. I would say like 95, 96, something like that. I think that we were close to that. Now, mind you, uh, I'm no expert. I'm just saying. I just what I remember. Um, but yeah, yeah. I overall, I think that's what this movie's about. It's about it's going against the grain and showing that there's an alternative way, whichever that might be. You don't have to live the life that was destined to that was pre laid out for you. You don't have to have 2.5 kids. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go, what I'm saying? You don't have to live that life. You can be something else that if you want to. And that's really what the idea is, what his, Jack Nicholson speech was all about. That's what America is all about. It's freedom, and being it and doing it is just two different things. Overall, if I had to grade the movie, I would say it is B minus because there is things that don't hold up. There are things that hold up really well, which is why I'd still give it a good grade. Um, I think it's just there's some things about this movie that bog it down. So that's why I give it a B minus. That's pretty much my review on it. Um, if you like, hit the like button, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you next time.